why we had an extra bank here at Array Digital, and why we just shut down those accounts. What's happening? It's Erik J. Olson. Several years ago, I read the book by Mike McCowitz named Profit First. And in Profit First, he has a system for how you can divvy up the money in one bank account into multiple bank accounts and separate out things like money you need to pay expenses versus money you need for profit versus money you need for your own salary. And in the book, he prescribes that you should have multiple bank accounts at your primary bank. And then the part that goes into the profit account, you should actually move that to a second bank, a bank that is actually difficult to get money in and out of, because you want to put your profit over there and maybe even like how much money you need to pay your taxes out of sight and out of mind. And so he prescribes using a second bank. When I read the book and we started to implement it, I knew we had to do that. We had to create a second or establish a relationship and accounts at a second bank, because at the time we were not doing great financially. This is probably about 3 years ago. And we were struggling. There were many times where Kevin and I had discussions about money and would we have enough to pay for ourselves, and could we pay for all these bills, and we had to move money around. And that's when we implemented Profit First. And money wise, things became a lot clearer instantly. I can log into my bank and see how much money is in the, just as an example, the owner's tax bank account. And I could then see how much money we owe and see if we're covered. It's very simple versus looking at one bank account that has all of your money for all your stuff. As a matter of fact, Kevin and I used to be super afraid of taking money out of the company for our own distributions because we just didn't know if we needed it or not. With Profit First, you put that money to the side and then you put it into a second bank account. We've been doing exactly that. But what we found is that over time and over the years, we stopped putting the money into that second bank, and we haven't put any money in there probably for like 2 years. Once we got comfortable enough with the system and we got past our cash crunch, we didn't really need to keep the money in a second bank. And that money just sat there literally for 2 years. We never put any money in. We never took any money out. We just took the profits and the taxes and we kept them in our private bank and then paid out of those accounts. We had learned enough discipline from implementing Profit First every 2 weeks for years that we didn't have to have the rigor of that secondary bank. And so what we did is we just actually closed our accounts there. You don't make any money off of interest in a bank, and this bank was no exception. We had a decent amount of money over there, and we would earn 25 cents per month in interest. And so it was just, and we didn't use the bank for any other purpose. It's not like we had a strong relationship with them. We didn't get loans from them. They didn't help us with our finances, really. We just held the money there. And so we decided to go ahead and shut that down and move it to our primary bank. So it's kind of like graduation day, I think, where we have the discipline at this point when it comes to managing our money, and our business has gotten to a point where we're not so tight with money like we used to be, where we have some flexibility and we don't need the rigors of that second bank account. If you're thinking about doing Profit First, if you're just starting out with Profit First or you're still struggling financially, I do absolutely recommend that you have that second bank account, because when that money goes to a separate bank and you don't see it when you log into your primary bank and it's hard to get to, like you have to drive there to get it, it means you're not going to actually go tap into that money, which is the whole point. That money's there for a purpose, and it's not the purpose you want to use it for. Now, in my experience, you don't need to do that forever. Maybe others have continued to do it. I don't know. But for us, it just made a lot of sense, convenience, and we have the discipline now that we don't need it. Hey there, it's Erik J. Olson. I wanted to let you know about my book, $1 Million Journey, How to Launch a 7-Figure Business. This is the story of what it took for me to go from freelancer with no clients, no employees, no revenue, to growing a $1 million business. It took me 8 years, and I made a lot of mistakes. And all of those mistakes, and more importantly, lessons learned, are in this book. And we have chapter takeaways 5 to 15 takeaways that you can apply right now to your business. Check it out on Amazon, $1 Million Journey by me, Erik J. Olson.